Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Story Time. I'm Lisa Gammon Olson, and I'm going to read you a bedtime story tonight called Sewing the Magic In. And it is the second book in my series, in my American Her Story series. I wrote it, and my good friend Lauren Rutledge illustrated it. And I'm here with my friend Nora, who happens to be the star of Sewing the Magic In. So she likes it when I talk about her. So she's just going to sit here on my lap and read this story with me. So, once again, Sewing the Magic In. From my place at the window on the second floor, I am able to see things that most people will never see. Men walking around on stilts, dozens of camels being led over the Baraboo River, giraffes, jugglers, massive gilded wagons, and dancing horses practicing new tricks. A long line of elephants marches down Water Street to stretch their legs. I can see all the daily activities of a circus preparing for a new season. I try to keep my eyes focused on my work, cutting patterns out of the colorful material, pinning hems, hand stitching feathers, closing seams in endless yards of lace, and thick velvets, and shimmery gold fabrics. But it's hard to concentrate being so near the window overlooking Ringlingville, the winter quarters of the greatest show on earth. I am easily distracted by the roars of the lions and the music of the circus band warming up their instruments. Nora, a soft voice whispers behind me a dozen times a day. Tend to your sewing. Sorry, Mama, I say, and turn back to the work at hand, always with a guilty explanation. There's a beautiful new wagon the painters have finished. I can see one of those silly giraffes peeking over the storage shed. That naughty Russian bear is loose again. Those black horses are sure kicking up the muddy snow today, and on and on. The excuses are as varied and colorful as the daily events passing beneath my window. I'm finished with this hem, I say to my mama, holding up the short ruffled blue skirt trimmed with orange beads, pink silk roses, and purple rhinestones. She takes it and turns it this way and that, making sure the stitches are tiny and the sparkly stones are lined up perfectly. Ping, ping. Two orange beads roll to the floor. Ping. I scamper to pick up the beads from the wood planked floor before they roll into a crack. I'll just put these back on, I say sheepishly. This is your first season, Nora. You'll be an excellent seamstress someday. She pats my cheek and hands me the skirt. I smile and shrug my shoulders. Only 14 more to go, she says, nodding towards a tall stack of identical blue skirts needing stones and hems. 14 more? I can feel my mouth drop open. 15 elephant riders, 15 costumes, she says, pushing a damp tendril of hair from her forehead. And if we get them done today, tomorrow we can start work on cutting out the 30 headdress patterns for the parade elephants. What's on your mind, child? I turn guiltily from the window where I've been watching four bears whirling and twirling and dancing between the animal barns across the street. It's Miss Maggie, one of the senior seamstresses for the circus. Sorry, Miss Maggie, I say quickly, lowering my head to the basket of colorful hair bows, needing hand-sewn sequins to make them twinkle. Come sit by me, child, she says kindly. I'll help you work on those. She motions to the empty chair next to her at the big work table. Tiny beads can be tricky, Miss Maggie says, opening a big tin of sorted sequins. The varied colors catch the light and sparkle like a box of tiny rainbows. I'll do the green bows, she says, and you work on this big red one. I take the folded ribbon from her, and with a handful of scarlet sequins, I copy her technique carefully. It is tedious work that makes your fingers sore and your eyes cross from focusing and refocusing on the tiny sewing needle working in and out of the satiny fabric. When I was your age, I had big dreams of working with the horses, she says after a time. I wanted to be the trainer for the Liberty Horse Act. Her eyes look wistfully towards my window. I thought I would be a natural performer in the ring. I would amaze the crowds with my 8 beautiful white horses, making them dance on their hind legs and prance around the ring, using only my ribboned batons to guide them. She sighs and smiles down at me. Why didn't you become a performer? I ask softly. Why spend your life working in the sewing room year after year until your eyes are blurry and your fingers swollen and sore? I can feel a tiny tear well up in my eye, frustrated for her, maybe a tiny bit for myself. Working with the horses wasn't for me, she says. They're a lot bigger up close and very skittish. I didn't have the knack. She shrugs. My talents are here in the costume shop. In here, I found out I could make the circus come alive. How? I ask, leaning forward. She looks around the busy workroom. We sew the magic in. She holds her finger across her lips. You don't think the animal acts and performers can put on a show all by themselves, do you? I don't know what you mean, I answer. She reaches over and takes the shimmery red bow from my hand. She holds it up to the light and turns it gently in her hand. It's beautiful, she says. I can feel the magic you've sewn into it rippling right there, just beneath the surface. I take it back and turn it over in my hand. It's just a hair bow, I say. I don't see any magic in it at all. I frown at it and toss it gently into the basket with the rest of the bows. You will, she says with a knowing look. Winter is soon over and the circus will be back in all its glory. You take your mama to the first circus parade of the season next month, and I promise you will see the magic. I don't see the magic at first. For sure, I could see the wonders of the circus as the parade passed by. The boisterous clowns and incredible circus wagons carrying their precious cargo of zebras and tigers, seals and bears. I laugh at a yawning hippopotamus and the swaying head of the neck of the giraffe sticking out of the hole in the top of his cage. So glorious, so colorful. Then, just as the elephants march around the corner, I feel it. It starts as a small tickle on the back of my neck. These are the same elephants I've watched all winter long with their great domed heads, wrinkly skin, and delicate, ever-searching trunks. They are as magnificent as ever, but with a little something more. Astride each elephant is a pretty girl, wearing a beaded jacket with a matching short ruffled blue skirt, trimmed with orange beads, pink silk roses, and purple rhinestones. The skirts I had trimmed and hemmed. On each girl's head is a fantastic headpiece with trailing ribbons and great plumed feathers. Each elephant is wearing an equally elaborate headpiece and beaded blanket that coordinates with his rider. Looking closely, I can pick out the distinct patterns we had custom fit to each individual animal's massive head shape. A tiny thrill ripples down my spine. Here comes Tom, Old Joe, and Mr. Willis. Mama points to the 3 men on stilts I've watched practice all winter out my window. Only these aren't the same jolly men in baggy pants wobbling along on their tall wooden legs. These are magical beings. The stilts are covered with striped pants with big shoes at the bottom, and their vests shimmer like gold in the sun. They wave their tall hats to the cheering crowds. My hand flies to cover my mouth. The costumes are the key. The costumes are the magic. They've turned the ordinary into something extraordinary, and I help to do that. All memories of the hard, tedious work in the costume shop are washed away. Here comes the star of the show, a voice whispers in my ear. Miss Maggie is standing behind me. The greatest bareback rider of all time, Miss May Worth, she says. What do you see, Nora? I see a beautiful girl in red slippers standing on the back of a magnificent white horse. Her red chiffon dress sparkles and swirls around her like glowing coals. I can see the magic shift and move within the fabric as she passes. Her hair is swept back with a big red satin bow trimmed with ruby sequins. The same shimmering bow that I had sewn with my own hands. I see a fairy princess, I say, a girl from a faraway land, and her magic horse. And the magic? She asks. Can you see it? Yes, I say, grabbing her hand tightly. We've sewn the magic into the act. We sure did, child, she says. We sure did. I just hope I've sewn the seams tight enough to keep it in. My heart swells with pride as the greatest show on earth rumbles past. So she has found her place in making the magic of the circus. So once again, this is Sewing the Magic In with my dear friend Nora. And we'll see you tomorrow for another story hour. I miss you.